Welcome everyone to the Q&A session for our upcoming course, Taking Flight in Your Third Act, the 8-week journey of initiation into your sovereignty, feminine wisdom, and freedom. I'm Lisa Bunnies, and it's my honor to be hosting this Q&A conversation for the Shift Network, where we'll explore the teachings of Sabrina Chaw and address questions about her upcoming 8-week course, Taking Flight in Your Third Act, which begins Monday, October 1st. Later, I'll explain how you can participate in this course, even if you can't attend the live sessions. But first, I want to introduce our guest. Sabrina Chaw, CEO of A Feminine Feast, helps women discover their unique path and power through the awakening of their feminine core and spirit. Her own journey through perimenopause and menopause brought her a wisdom that was hard-earned and profound, which ultimately filled her with a greater sense of ease, surrender, ecstasy, joy, and even greater youth than she'd ever felt before. She's the host of the Shift Network's popular summit, Thriving in Your Third Act, Women Finding Fire and Fulfillment After 50. Sabrina guides women on all the aspects of life that ignite us, from spirituality to finance to nutrition to grief to sexuality and to healing. She believes that connecting with community and a higher source are key to liberating the power we embody. And in just a few minutes, we're going to open up for your questions. But first, I want to welcome Sabrina, who will begin our call by leading us in a mini teaching on the Raven's Gateway. Welcome, Sabrina. It is so great to talk to you today.
Thank you, Lisa. It's great being here and being here with all the other women on the call. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Sabrina, my understanding of the Raven's Gateway is that it's the shadow side that sabotages us from manifesting the lives that we desire, which I believe is the first threshold we pass in our journey to sovereignty. Is that accurate?
That's correct. That's correct. Yes, the Raven's Gateway, Lisa, is the first gateway of initiation because this is where we explore our shadow side. This is the place where our most insidious places that affect us, our beliefs, our limiting beliefs, our conditioning, the habits that we formed over the years, that they, unconsciously, just subconsciously affect us in ways that we just don't know. And so the Raven's Gateway is all about investigating what that is, because the Raven is all about the dark side. And also there's a sort of mischievousness about the Raven. The Raven sort of looks under the crevices, looks to see where the light is and follows it. It does it in a way that's bold, not in fear, in a way that's curious and explorative. And it's important to go through this first gateway because when the weight is lifted from and our heart is released from the cords that tie it from these beliefs, then there's a lightness that occurs where we need that in order to take flight. And so the Raven's Gateway is the first initiatory gateway because once we release that weight that binds us, then we're able to go on to the other gateways, which is like really getting clarity on our deepest desires and our vision about life and purpose. And so the Raven's Gateway is that which says, okay, I'm going to look into what these limiting beliefs are. I'm going to let go of what they are. I'm going to release them in a way that's not suppressing them, but having a relationship with them that fuels us, that serves us. And so let me just talk a little bit about how some of the practices that we do in the Raven's Gateway might be a little different than some of the practices we may have taken on in our lives before. So there are many, many ways to look at our shadow, right? And I'm assuming that a lot of women here in the audience have done a lot of these practices or these processes. Some of them all of them are great. And there are other practices that we can take on that maybe are more in alignment with where we are now as a woman over 50, or more in alignment now as a goddess, as a feminine being. So maybe the practices we've done before are something like reframing the beliefs. So say like one of the negative beliefs a person might take on is, I'm not enough or I'm not good enough. All right. And so one of the ways to deal with that is to reframe that belief, like saying, well, I'm good enough in the things I want to be good enough in, like, my job, or, I'm a mother, or, I'm good enough in those areas. I may not be good enough in others, but I'm good enough with those. So it's kind of like reframing it, framing it in a way that makes it acceptable so it doesn't have as much effect on us. Another way is understanding it, right? So like analyzing it, like in understanding how this particular belief affects our lives, and looking into it, and working with in therapy or other processes that are really, really wonderful processes in order to understand this belief. And another way is like challenging it. And this is in all these processes that I'm describing now are sort of more what I would call masculine processes that are great. And the challenging process is about like challenging that belief, like, what do you mean I'm not good enough? I'm the top salesperson on my team, or I was voted, best teacher in the PTA, or, whatever. There are ways to challenge that belief that sort of strengthen or empower us. It doesn't get rid of the belief, doesn't release it, but it sort of overpowers it. And then there's the one of like sweeping it under the rug, or sort of stuffing the belief, like ignoring it, saying, mind over matter. I'm just going to choose to believe something else. I'm just going to keep my eye on the ball and just keep going forward. So those are all practices that people take on, I've taken on. And again, they're really, really good practices to take on. In the Raven's Gate way, some of the practices that we'll be taking on is what you would say are more aligned with the feminine. So the feminine is all about the heart. The feminine is all about fullness, bringing fullness into our lives and into our bodies, our energy, and our heart. So with the feminine, a way to address, say, like, I'm not enough, is to love it, is to have a relationship with this belief so that we bring it into our heart, so that it's not just a matter of understanding it on a sort of more construct level, conceptual level, or analytical level. It's really having more empathy, not sympathy, which is more of, at a distance. It's really empathy, that we're actually right there with that belief. There's no separation. And in that, when we do that, we can actually engage with this belief. We can say, okay, I'm not enough. Wow, who am I when I feel that belief? Maybe I'm a 4-year-old girl. What is she saying to me? What are her feelings? What are the sensations that are coming up in my mind, in my body, in my heart? What are the experiences I'm having as I'm engaging with this particular belief? So it's really, really being curious about that belief with an open heart, and really taking it into the heart and having that empathy of love, so that we're including that belief with us, not separating at a distance, but including it into our body, into our heart. And then with that, we can actually start to let go, right? We can actually start to say, okay, but letting go, not like in the masculine way of sort of stuffing it or just reframing it or anything like that, but following the energy, following the sensations, and letting it morph and transform and change, which is what the feminine is all about. It's about not acquiescing to like any linear place or process where this belief can take us, but following the energy, following the sensations, following the colors and the textures and whatever our experience is of the belief, and finding where it lies in our bodies, in our hearts, and lands. And so it's following it thread by thread. Just keep following that thread until it transforms into something else. And where it usually does, it transforms in another place in our body, it lands, and then it has a different message. It has a different voice. It has a different texture and sensation. And then we engage with that. And we keep having relationship. And this is really key for in encompassing our feminine wisdom to deal with these limiting beliefs is the engagement, is having a relationship with this belief, as opposed to just saying, I'm letting go of you, blah, you're bad. It's really saying, you have served me all these years for my survival, for what I used to be, but now I'm longing for something else. And we're going to have a relationship of love, of understanding, so that we can work on this together, so that that limiting belief becomes an ally to your evolution rather than a saboteur in your evolution. So let me just say that one of the reasons this is an important gateway is because what you're going to experience, or what I hope you'll experience in this gateway, is that you will identify your limiting beliefs, but also what we call toxic ties or toxic agreements that you might have in this gateway. And what I mean by that is that there are people in our lives that we have hidden agreements with that we may not be conscious of, that keeps us in relationship with them, that keeps us accepted and loved by them. So one of those toxic ties could be with a relative, a father, a mother, a brother, or sister, that in order to be loved by them, you have to keep yourself small. Or one of the toxic ties or one of the toxic agreements could be, in order to be accepted by you, I have to only talk about certain things. Or to be loved by you, I have to look a certain way or act a certain way. So it's important that we identify what those toxic ties are in order to let go of them, in order to also have an understanding and a relationship with them, so that it doesn't affect us. It affects us in a way where we become imbued by it. We become fueled by it because it's transformed our hearts into a much bigger space. It's allowed our energy to flow more with what the textures and the sensation of those toxic ties are, so that it becomes less and less and less. So instead of suppressing it, it becomes more alive, but it turns in and transforms into something else. So instead of black, it turns into gold, or whatever color is real for women. And so the type of things that can happen when you pass through this threshold is that you become more confident. Your relationships become more authentic and loving and supportive. You start to trust more. You start to trust your decisions more because your instincts are sharper, your intuition is more accurate, your inner critic has much less of a hold on you, or you begin to have a relationship with that inner critic that is more playful or curious or again, as an ally. You really start to come through this gateway in a way that says, okay, wow, I'm lightening up my load. I'm starting to feel different. My eyes are wider. My sights are clearer. My weight is lighter, and my heart is fuller. And so it enables you to start going through the next gateway, which is the Nightingale Gateway, which is about our longing, our deepest desire, and how do we shape that into a vision and purpose that is really in alignment with who we are in this world and what we're born to be in this world. Well, let me just tell you about the Raven's Gateway and some of the challenges that women often have in this gateway that we'll be working on as well if they come up. Some of the challenges are, it's difficult, right? We know that confronting our shadow can be a very, very challenging thing, and I get that. It's what we've hung on to all this time in order for us to get along in life. So it starts to be, over the years, like sediment, right? Sediment, layers and layers and layers of sediment on top of each other, that it can be really, really difficult to excavate and bring up what the shadow is bringing up. So emotions come up, trauma sometimes come up. All sorts of things come up. But again, when it's held in a very safe and trusting container, which we will create in the course and in all the gateways, the shadow becomes more alive with compassion and in relationship, as I mentioned. So one of the challenges is that, well, how do we deal with these emotions that come up? And we will be doing feminine practices that, again, will address these emotions in a way that they don't have a hold on you, that they don't tie your heart with a continuous insidious beliefs that hold you back. And some of the other challenges are, well, because we've been with some of these emotions and beliefs for so long, it's hard to let go, right? It's what we call the wet teddy bear syndrome. It's kind of like our security blanket, the thing that we kind of held on to with all this time in our lives, and it's just hard to let go. But it's wet, so it becomes kind of stinky and unpleasant to be with. So we recognize that. And so we do these practices in the gateway, the Raven's Gateway, to, okay, how do you gently let go? How do we feel the grief of what we're letting go because of what we're letting go? Because that is part of the process, is the grief, right? And the other thing that's challenging sometimes is because we're so used to some of the processes that we're used to about analyzing it and rationalizing it and stuffing it under the rug or reframing it or whatever it is that we've done before, we're used to those processes. And that's okay, because actually some of those processes we will use if it's true for you, if it resonates for you, but we're going to go underneath the layers by using other feminine practices that I mentioned about energy, about love, engagement, and relationship with the beliefs and the toxic ties, so that it becomes softer. It becomes actually, like I said, an ally of love to fuel you in your flight. So let me just bring you through an experiential practice that I love to do with clients when it comes to addressing your limiting beliefs. So go ahead and close your eyes. And allow your breath to just gently come in and out of your body, reminding yourself that, here I am. I'm here sitting in this chair. My heart is here. My breath is here. My back is feeling supported. Maybe you're sitting on a chair, or my hips are being supported by the cushion you're sitting on. Whatever it is, or maybe your feet, you're standing, is fully rooted into the Mama Earth. So just allow yourself to feel grounded, whether it be through your breath, or the presence of your heart, or the rootedness of your feet into the Mother Earth. Breath by breath, just arrive in this place right now. Letting your shoulders relax, letting your heart come full, your sternum lifted. And as you breathe, I want you to imagine a recent event, a situation that has maybe disappointed you or brought up some hurt feelings. Just imagine the situation and the feeling inside your body as you're imagining this situation. And what feelings do come up for you? Is it sadness? Is it hurt? Is it anger, frustration? Whatever it is, allow those feelings to come fully forth. Letting your breath extend those feelings throughout your body so that they're not being suppressed. They're not being blocked. Let them come full frontal. Let them come alive. Let your exhale aid you in magnifying those feelings. And I know it can be hard because these are difficult feelings. But remember your groundedness in your pelvis on your seat, or the presence of your heart, or the rootedness of your feet. Come back to that if it starts to become difficult. Now go ahead and go to the place in your body where that feeling, whatever it be, anger, frustration, whatever, has the most energy. So you're feeling the most heat, the most, like the hardest knot, or whatever it is, wherever that tight contraction is the most in your body, the most charge in your body, go to that place in your body. Maybe it helps to put your hand on that place in your body and allow the warmth of your hand to feel that place, that feeling, that belief. And as you're feeling that feeling, what is that belief that comes up with that feeling in this place in your body? Like maybe you are feeling hurt, and maybe the belief is, well, I'm not feeling valued. Or whatever is true for you, what comes up for you? And as your hand is placed over that part of your body where you're feeling that belief, allow that belief to come alive in your hand, to be met by your hand. And feel how your heart is extending through your arms, through your veins, into your hands, meeting that place in your body where it has the most charge. So with that belief, whatever that belief is, who is that person that is feeling that belief? Is it your 4-year-old self? Is it your teenage self? Whatever it is, feel what's true for you. And as your heart is over that place in your body where this 4-year-old or teenager, whoever it is present, can you love her? Love her. Embrace her. Caress her with your hand. Let her know she's safe. Let her know she's being held right here with whatever this belief is. Let her know she is safe. She is loved. And now allow her to move. Allow her to have whatever sensations are coming up. As she's feeling this belief, like I am not valued, whatever it is, allow her to feel what's happening in her body, especially that part of the body. And as you're closing your eyes, maybe colors come up. What are those colors? What shapes are the colors morphing into? What texture does your body feel? Is it tightness? Is it like rocks? Is it like granite? Whatever it is, feel that texture again. We're having a relationship with this place, this belief, with this person that's feeling that belief. Feel all the sensations, the experiences that you're having. And allow yourself to magnify it even just a little bit more and start to follow the thread of experience that your body is having. And maybe that flow, that feeling, that belief is morphing into a different color, a different shape, and start to move your body in a way that allows your energy to let that belief, those colors, those sensations flow anywhere else in your body. So maybe instead of the place that it originated from, maybe it's more in your arms. And maybe from your arms, it's going to your neck. And maybe from your neck, it's going to someplace else in your body. Whatever that is, follow that thread. And to ground you, keep coming back to the place in your heart, or the rootedness in your feet, or your groundedness in your pelvis. If you're feeling that you're being untethered, but just keep breathing. Inhaling in whatever you're feeling, exhaling out to extend that feeling through your body. And keep following that flow. Let that belief take shape. Let that belief have messages that you listen to. Because they may be subtle messages, but keep following the flow. Be in relationship, be in the dance with your body. and sensations. I'm going to keep quiet for another minute so that you can keep following whatever flow, whatever sensations you're feeling. Don't be afraid of it. Be in relationship with it again. Feel grounded in your feet, your heart, your pelvis. Let your hands bring warmth and love to whatever place feels unsafe and fearful. Allow your hands to move if you want, to allow the expansion of your body to conduct the energy wherever it's going. Follow the thread, follow the river. And I'll keep silent for another minute. And as you follow that river, that energy, feel where it lands in your body now. Go ahead and put your left hand over that place so that your heart receives it. The left hand is for receiving. Now feel what the feeling is here. Perhaps it's a little different. Perhaps it's shifted. What is the message that this place is giving you right now? Who is this person who's talking to you now? Is it still the 4-year-old, the teenager? Just be present to her now. Notice what is here now. Allow your heart to receive it with your hand. Bring love into this place. Bring breath into this place. Bring life into this place of love, in this place in your body. You now open your eyes slowly, like a new day is dawning. Be present to whatever's in the room for you. Your sensations, your body, experience. Feel what's alive right now. And you'll notice that something has shifted. You have a relationship with something else right now. It's not that belief from where you started. It's something else. Notice how you are in relationship with something different right now. As your eyes are open, can you be curious? Can your heart be open to what is here now? And even though we will end this particular visualization, maybe after this call you can write down in your journal what came up for you. You can ask about it in the Q&A that we're about to have. But whatever it is, let yourself be in relationship with it. Engage with it. Let the energy of it nourish you, fuel you. Make you feel more alive and open. Because these beliefs sometimes are so suppressed, so insidious. We feel closed. We walk around with our shoulders hunched, our hearts closed. We go from A to B, taking life for granted because we're so busy with our lives. But now, you allow energy to enter you, to serve you in some way. Just notice that and let that guide you throughout the rest of your day. Just again be in exploration with it. So thank you for letting me lead you in that exercise. And again, if you have any questions with it, feel free to ask. And feel free to journal it and be in your own exploration, individual exploration, as you follow the thread, follow your heart. Thank you.
All right, beautiful.
All right,
thank you,
beautiful.
Sabrina.
Thank you.
What you've talked about here sounds like the kind of things that I wish I could have addressed when I was younger, and I'm sure that many women share that sentiment. It feels sometimes like too much time has been wasted and there's so little time left. So why do you think so many of us wait until our third act to work through these really important things?
Well, it's because of the pressure of time, because many women in their third act, and so they're over 50, right? They feel that there may be more years behind them than in front of them. And so there's a pressure. There's like a deadline that we're feeling, oh my gosh, I've had so many lost opportunities. What do I need to do now in order to meet these opportunities, to manifest what I've always wanted to manifest in my life? And so at the same time, we're feeling this pressure of less time. We're feeling the pressure of loss. So especially after menopause, our hormones change, right? And sometimes if we've acted in our lives like just going from A to B because of our jobs, because of our various roles in life, we filled our lives with so much stress because we had to survive. We had to do what we had to do all this time. Our adrenals have taken over. They've hijacked our bodies, and so we become exhausted. And so we have a loss of energy, or we have a loss of a capability because maybe some other conditions have occurred in our bodies as a result. So inflammation, high blood pressure, depression sometimes sets in. So many type of conditions come into our bodies. And so our bodies start talking to us and saying, okay, you got to do something about it. But then it's kind of like a catch-22 until the bodies start to say, okay, I feel better, let's do it. We don't do it. But how do we get our bodies to do it until we start believing it, that we can do it, right? So the combination of the pressure of time, the combination of the experience of loss in our lives, of loved ones who support us as well, of other things, that we begin to feel like, oh, okay, we're going to do this in our third act now, and this is what I got to do. There's more of an urgency. And I want to say that, yes, there is more of an urgency, but I invite you not to let it pressure you, because one of the things I believe about time is that time is eternity. Time is created by energy, and the feminine is the creator of time and energy. So we, as the feminine, are actually the creators of time. So as opposed to, I've use this example in one of the modules in the introduction module, where I talk about the whole notion of time, where I say, okay, we have this timeline, and here's where we were born, and here's where we were born, and here's where like the end of time is, and here we are, that we have like, whoa, we have only this notion of time now left, or so we perceive it to be that way. What I say is like, let's focus on this time right here, which is the present time, where the end time and the time that you were born meet each other into the present time, and let this sliver of time be eternity, be this present moment where everything's possible, right? Everything's possible. And that's why the Raven's Gateway is so important, because we know that more is possible because we let go or have a better relationship with the things that's saying, no, that's not possible. We actually meet ourselves in this time, not afraid of the future, not afraid of the past, but in this moment. So we don't feel as much pressure. And we take you through how to do that in the course, how to feel this lack of pressure. And in fact, you feel more of a passion. You use the energy to feel more timelessness, more a feeling of the divine, of more spaciousness and expansiousness, so that you feel more open and using your intuition and your feminine wisdom as to what's really true, as opposed to, being caught up in, I don't have enough time, I'm in my third act, how do I do this? Well, we're going to teach you how to do that in the course.
Great. Looking forward to that. Okay, so we're taking our viewers' questions for Sabrina as we prepare for her upcoming course. Again, that's called Taking Flight in Your Third Act, and it begins Monday, October 1st. And if you want to check out the website, follow along with us while we're chatting, you can learn more about the 8-week course, and you can visit takingflightcourse.com to see the full description. Again, that's takingflightcourse.com. And so we can go ahead and get started with questions. If you have a question for Sabrina, go ahead and type it in, and I'll be happy to read them aloud. We do have some questions already waiting, so let me go ahead and start with one from Brenda, who says, are we in several of these gateways at one time, or is it cyclical with different aspects of ourselves?
That's a great question, Brenda. And what it is, it's cyclical. Because we can often go through these gateways at different points in our time, in our life. Because you may go through a gateway, say you go through the Raven's Gateway and you're able to have a relationship with the limiting beliefs and toxic ties in your life, and then you go through the Nightingale Gateway where you're really feeling your deepest longing and desires and actually starting to go towards a clarity in your purpose. And then you start manifesting it, and say you've done that in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, but then in your 50s, you say, oh my gosh, something has occurred where something's more true for me, that I'm uncovering a different layer of beliefs, of subconscious thoughts that are sabotaging me. And so you go back into the gateway and you say, oh, here we are. What are those deeper layers that I need to go into? And so they reveal some of your deeper desires, because you're no longer weighed down by some of these insidious layers that you may not have been aware about before. So it can be cyclical, but as you go through the gateways, the revelations you have as you go through them more and more times become deeper, become more expansive. The capabilities that you grow into are greater, because you're letting go of more and more and more, and you're stepping into a greater space, more and more and more of capability and confidence and manifestation. So it is cyclical. And let me just say, because you asked a great question, are they happening all at the same time? In any moment, right? At any moment, we can go through many aspects of the gateway where we're conscious of our beliefs. Oh, but I'm really touching with my deepest desire right now. And oh, I need to call upon my inner and outer allies. Like you'll call up a girlfriend, or you'll really get in touch with the divine, which is all about the Falcon's Gateway. And then maybe there's the gateway of the Owl Gateway, that you're calling upon your own wisdom and your own experiences to really make a decision that really serves you, right? So maybe in that mini moment, you're sort of cycling through those gateways yourself, and it transforms into an action that you make in that moment. So I don't want to make it seem like it's like a linear process. I mean, because especially for the feminine, right? It's not linear. It morphs. It's transcendental. It's cosmic. It's changeable. It's unpredictable. It's deep. It's mysterious and magical. So it has a cycle of life throughout, whether it's in this moment, in this present moment, or through various periods in our life, or through the entirety of our life. It's cyclical. So I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you for that. We've got a question here from Latanya, who says, what was your greatest challenge reinventing yourself after 50?
Wow, that's a great question, Latanya. Wow, well, my greatest challenge, first of all, Oh, when I was going through menopause, and this was at the age of 51, where I was sort of going through a depression. And I wasn't diagnosed clinically as depressed, but I really had the symptoms of it, where I felt just low energy, lethargy all the time. I was uninspired. I was laid off from my job, and I was just starting my new business as an entrepreneur. I had been a life coach for many, many years, and now at this point in time, I took it on full time. And when I was going through the depression, I just didn't believe in myself. I just didn't have the energy. I didn't want to go out and educate myself, seek help. I just all talk about the Raven's Gateway, right? I mean, all these limiting beliefs are coming to the fore real time. And at the same time, I had broken up with someone who proposed to me, and I was having some difficult relationships with my family at the time. My mother had just recently passed away, and that was significant because all of a sudden I was perceiving myself as an orphan because my father had died 10 years prior to that. So I was feeling really alone and kind of destitute because financially, because I was laid off from my job and a steady income, and I really had to make it on my own month to month and paying expenses. I was feeling like, just awful in my life. And it was then when I discovered, what do I need to do? Because I was trying to shore myself up all through that. I was saying, okay, positive affirmations. What do I need to do? I sought the help of a therapist, which really helped, and sought the help of friends who I didn't even call them up. They just came in because I wasn't even seeking them out actively. I just let them know that I'm going through this, and they just kind of came in and called me up and texted me and whatever, and or emailed me. And so I started feeling a little bit of light. And this is when I discovered, okay, I really have allies on my side. And they're not just outer allies, such as my soul tribe, but they're inner allies, such as I've always had a very deeply spiritual life. And I was able to access the notion of God because he and she, and both he and she, in my heart at least, are always with me. And I felt the caress of them. I felt the love of them. And moment to moment, even though I couldn't even go day to day, because even day to day was hard, just moment to moment, hour to hour, just to feed myself was difficult. So I just called upon these allies. And I knew that the allies were telling me, go to where you need to go, meet the shadow. And I did. And it was really hard. And sometimes I would do it in my therapist's office, but at the dead of night in my dreams, they would come. So the therapist isn't there. So I really had to face them and have a relationship with them in ways that I didn't before. And that's when I knew, using my the feminine practices that I've been cultivating all this time, where my meditation practices weren't helping me as much back then. I was meditating a more Zen meditation practice, and I started to move more. I started to study Vajrayana Buddhism even more, and I started doing movement, and that was more in the flow, more organic. And my body started becoming more alive. I started noticing energy coming up that gave me just enough fuel to go the next day. And I kept on cultivating these practices and doing whatever called me. I would keep praying and listening to what would come up. And because of that, I noticed, wow, these are rites of passages that I'm going through. There are certain thresholds that I'm here to meet. And I felt intentional in going through what I was going through because I knew these were thresholds and rites of passages that were important for me to go through. And so I made it an intentional journey. I made myself go through certain thresholds that I said, okay, this is this threshold now. This is this threshold now. And I knew that I need to harvest what I already knew because I was feeling lost. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have what it takes to get out of this. But then I started feeling as my inner allies were with me, I do have what it takes. And I can do this. And so I can go day to day. I can go forward. I'm not lost anymore. And I went through each threshold, and then each threshold started just opening itself open to me organically until I came to what I would call the Phoenix Gateway, which is that of rebirth. And after that, I found a new love in my life that I am now married to. We celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary last week, and I'm living in a beautiful home in San Francisco with him now. I have a garden that I love, and I have a strong community that I am engaged with on a daily basis. And I really love my life now, and I had to go through what I had to go through, and I blessings to that, and blessings to all of us who have to go through that and recognize that these are the rites of passages that are here for us to live, because we're not alone. We're in it together. So thanks for asking that question, LaTanya. I just felt more, it's enlivened in my heart, just having your permission to describe that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. That was a beautiful story. Looking at the clock here, we have time for a couple more questions, but before we take those, I want to give a few details about the course itself. Again, it's called Taking Flight in Your Third Act, and this is going to be a life-changing 8-week journey under Sabrina's expert guidance, where you'll embody your true essence as a woman and a wisdom keeper to move past regret, feel your deepest desires, and reshape your heart. And the 8-week course takes place on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific, starting Monday, October 1st. And if you can't join us live, that's fine. You won't miss the teachings. You will receive audio and video recordings, transcripts, and all course handouts on your course homepage. Also, I'd like to remind you that the Shift Network offers a no-risk money-back guarantee on all of our courses, giving you a full 2 weeks until October 15th in this case to make sure that you absolutely love it. As an added option, all participants are welcome to connect in a private Facebook community group so you can stay connected with one another. Also, everyone who registers receives the Taking Flight in Your Third Act bonus collection. First, you'll receive the Women's Circle Success Kit, which is valued at $149, and that is a 6-session audio teaching complete with PDF handouts from Sabrina and hosted by Sarah Avant Stover. And next, you'll get an audio teaching from Sabrina entitled The Sex Diet, the 5 Keys to Magnifying Your Sexiness and Keeping the Juices Flowing. Then you'll receive an audio teaching from Sabrina called Staying Open When You Feel Closed. And when you register by midnight Pacific on Saturday, September 29th, you'll receive an additional bonus gift, and that is another audio teaching from Sabrina entitled The Essential Keys to Having the Love You Long For. So, Sabrina, before we get back into questions, what are you most looking forward to sharing in your upcoming course?
Wow. I'm really looking forward to sharing the possibility of what it means to really reclaim our lives the way we've always wanted to live it, and to do it in community with all the magnificent women who will be on the course, because this is the important part of the course, is that to know you're not alone and to be witnessed and to be held and supported and embraced and loved, because the feminine is all about relationship and love. And so how do we do it together? And so I'm really looking forward to this alchemical, juicy magic that we're going to be creating together, full of possibilities, and seeing what comes alive for everybody so that they step through their third act in a way that feels bold and courageous and manifesting.
All right, that sounds exciting. We've got a question here from Sue. This is a follow-up to what you were just talking about before for LaTanya's question. Sue says, beyond the hormonal chemical changes contributing to depression, I'm curious to know if you feel there's a connection between your thoughts about life after menopause and the depression you experienced during your adjustment to it.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. And yes, I absolutely did. Well, life after menopause, I mean, because of what happened, and again, I was laid off from my job. I mean, a lot of significant life circumstances changed. So I was facing the challenges of finances and loss of relationships, both family, intimacy, and, community in my workplace. And so there was many thoughts that came up that were not related to the hormonal challenges, but really because I was going back to the familiar in this place. What happens often when we go into a dark place, we go back to the familiar. And the familiar means going back to the familiar beliefs that we have, conditioned ourselves to be with in our dealing with life. And so those beliefs were those limiting beliefs that I'm not enough, I don't have what it takes, I don't belong, I'm not valued, all these things. And it was independent of the hormonal changes because those beliefs have been with me. They just really came to the fore when I was depressed. And so what I did is intentionally went through them again with the support of the allies in my life, and just taking one step forward, one step at a time, just being held, letting myself be held one step at a time, where I would have hope and faith and strength that, yes, I can go forward. And then life started becoming more open for me after that. So yeah, definitely not just related to hormones, definitely thoughts and what they can do to our body, mind, and spirit because of that. Thanks for asking the question. That's a great one.
All right, thanks for that answer. We've got a question here from Marianne that sort of touches on the same topic, but goes in a little different direction. Marianne says, you don't look like you visually aged to the point where you're invisible in the eyes of people who make hiring decisions. How does one stay relevant in a culture of youth worship?
Wow, great question, Marianne. Well, there's a construct of life, right, such as corporations and employers and the people who make life, that our society just puts a lot of emphasis on youth, as you just mentioned. And the way that we come forth in that is that the energy that our feminine wisdom gives us is the confidence that we need to step forward. And in the Owl Gateway, where we harvest the wisdom that we have cultivated, the Owl Gateway is where we say, wow, this is what my experience is. And what happens when our culture puts so much emphasis on youth, it's because they have stories that youth has more energy, youth is more willing, youth is more curious, youth has more capabilities, and all these things. That's what they're thinking youth is. But when we go through the thresholds, we realize, oh my gosh, I have all those things. It's just that my own beliefs had limited me from believing something, made me believe something else, or that I haven't really cultivated and really recognized and gathered together all the wisdom that I realize that I've had in all my experience, that I don't need to try to meet the youth. I am who I am, and this is what I bring to the table, right? So it's really important to know that society is the one who's building these constructs around youth and the stories and the beliefs as to why youth is so good. So it's not a matter of youth, it's a matter of what are our capabilities in the youth. And we have that all, in fact, even more. As Marianne Williamson says, even though our physicality might decrease, like we get gray hair, we don't feel as strong, we don't have as much energy, we think our consciousness, our energy, our spirit, our conscientiousness, our light expands. And that's really true. And that happens because you went through what you went through. You can't achieve greatness until you've gone through exactly what you've gone through. All of that is fodder for your greatness, for your amazing life that you want to have. So the way to battle the whole thing of youth is just you look people right in the face and say, ask me a question that you think I can't handle. If or just show them the radiance in your heart. Show them the strength and your confidence because of what you lived, right? Show them how your body becomes alive with expansiveness because you know in your intuition and wisdom who you are, right? Become alive with the energy that your all the years of living has given you, so that you walk like the oceans in your hips, so that it's not so much youth, it's groundedness, it's strength, it's flow, it's like the Mother Earth coming to the fore in an interview. She sits down and she's like, boom, here I am, right? That's what employers really want, is that confidence. It's not, here I am. It's here I am. Right. So I hear you, and it's hard to battle the youth wars. Our beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar beauty industry because of that. But we've got beauty inside that if our hearts can reveal that to ourselves with the support of our own communities and our inner and outer allies and everything else we've cultivated in our lives, we will believe that and we will manifest what we are meant to manifest in our lives because of that.
Bravo. Thank you. Well said. Gosh, we're just about out of time. Let's try to squeeze in one more question. Big question or big answer, little time. Bobby says, how can I communicate with my higher self? I can feel her, but nothing is coming through.
Wow, yes. Well, that's one of the reasons why it's important to go through the Raven's Gateway. Sometimes it's hard to connect with our higher self, with the divine, because there's something else that's covering it. It's protecting. It's like a force shield that's like, no, you can't access that. There's something else that needs to be listened to before you connect with the divine. And it could be that belief that says, oh, no, you're not good enough to have that relationship with the divine. Or it could be that belief that says, no, you're not ready yet. Or whatever it is. But feel first the place in your body which is feeling the block, the biggest energy in that block, the biggest charge that's preventing you from accessing the divine, your higher self. And allow yourself, as I went through the experiential exercise, maybe listen to that or if you're taking notes on it, do that. And see what comes alive. Because what that happens, when that you do that, what happens is channels open up, right? Channels of energy open up, the hearts open up, because you're not suppressing anything anymore. Something is open. And there's a saying that it's in the crack in the vase that the light comes in. And so it's just that one crack, but you have to be willing to go to where that crack is, that the light comes in. So allow yourself to go there first. Sometimes we just can't access the divine right then and there. It's hard, and that's okay. The divine is always with us. But there's something else that needs to be paid attention to beforehand. Maybe it's that 4-year-old girl. Maybe it's your teenager. It's something else. There's a message in there to pay attention to first. So allow yourself to listen to that, and then see what opens, and then pray. And then open your body, and then notice, and then speak and see what comes back at you. And that is your higher self talking to you.
Terrific. Thank you. We're going to be wrapping up here in a sec, but I want to read one last comment. This is from Barbara, who says, I love the title for this event, Taking Flight. This morning, I had dozens of starling birds landing on my deck rail, looking in the windows at me. I see this now as a sign that it is time for me to also take flight and embrace myself and my third act. So there you go, Sabrina. You've touched someone there. I want to thank our viewers for Go ahead. What was that?
No, I was just saying that's terrific. That's a beautiful image. Thank you, Barbara.
Yes, I can see it myself. Yes, again, I'd like to thank our viewers for being with us today and for all of your questions. Taking Flight in Your Third Act starts Monday, October 1st. And again, you can visit takingflightcourse.com to learn more and to register. So before we go, Sabrina, do you have any final words for our viewers?
Well, I just welcome you all to the gateways and the journey that you're about to take. And whether you sign up or not, we're on this together. And we do this hand in hand, heart to heart. And I welcome you to take this journey with us, because it's an amazing journey that you'll be gently and also just really boldly guided through the gateway so that you do live the life that you're meant to live. And I'm happy to be your guide for you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Sabrina. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad we had a chance to talk today.
Me too, Lisa. It's been great connecting with you. I love what the shift does. And thank you, ladies, for joining us on this call. And let the curiosity and your love guide you day to day. Keep that shining.
Perfect. And once again, thank you to everyone who joined us today. On behalf of all of us at the Shift Network, I wish you well and look forward to having you on this course or perhaps another one in the future. Have a great day, everyone.